Welcome back to Wine, Whiskey, and Words, the podcast where we drink boldly, talk loudly, and overthink just about everything. I'm Brad, your host, wine enthusiast, professional overthinker, and a man who finally has a girlfriend after what we'll generously call a long intermission. Like, long enough that my friends were starting to assume it was a creative choice. I'm still adjusting to phrases like, we should talk, send me that song, and why are you singing right now? Speaking of which, I'm also absolutely convinced I'm one key change away from a record deal. I call it undiscovered talent. My girlfriend calls it please stop. Daniel calls it the reason we don't record near open windows. And speaking of Daniel, my co host, cruise ship ambassador, and self proclaimed pool shark. His wife is currently traveling for work, which means he's unsupervised, eating like a raccoon, and I'm mostly just hoping he doesn't look at me mid episode and tell me I look purty. He's the whiskey to my wine, the glitch in my matrix, and the only man who chalks his cue like he's on ESPN, then immediately scratches on the brake. Together, we've tackled life's most pressing questions, from celebrities who made spectacularly bad decisions to whether cruising is a lifestyle or a cry for help, to how time travel would instantly turn us into history's biggest mistakes. We've even covered the fine art of dealing with rejection, because frankly, that one keeps coming up for us. But today we're taking a more serious turn. We're talking about battling addiction, what it looks like, how it starts, the way it hides in plain sight, and what it actually takes to confront it. This isn't about judgment or easy answers. It's all about honesty, perspective, and conversations that don't happen nearly enough. So grab a drink, lower your expectations, and join us for another episode of Wine, Whiskey, and Words, where the pours are heavy, the logic is light, and the self awareness is a work in progress.
Thank you for that once more lovely intro, Brad.
You're welcome.
Speaking of eating like a raccoon for lunch today, I had leftover pepperoni pizza, taco style, as the shell, and used some macaroni and cheese, Velveeta shells and cheese, that I'd cut up sliced hot dogs in, and like made a taco out of that.
Okay.
I had some extra strength Pepto Bismol for dessert.
But the pizza was cold, right?
Well, no, like I heated it up.
Why?
Because like you don't eat,
You
don't
don't
eat
heat
cold
up cold
tacos. Like it was a taco.
amateurs.
Yeah. So it actually turned out okay. It was very
Yeah, but it would have been amazing if you'd had the pizza cold. You heat up the macaroni, you keep the pizza cold.
well, like if I'm just eating pizza cold, that's fine. But I was venturing out. Don't judge me. Only God can judge me.
I know. Well, my mom says I'm God.
All right. Well, it hasn't been that long since our last episode.
It's been a week.
A week. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because it's going to be a little bit longer till our next one, probably
Yes,
a few weeks.
it's going to be a minute. Hopefully not as long as last time.
No, it should be probably about 3
It was a
weeks.
bit of a slog, but yeah, we're gonna get a little travel planned. Yeah, Hanukkah's here,
Yes, it is.
and the holiday season is here. And Brad, I got you a gift.
What?
Yes, this is from Homosassa Distillery.
Oh, cool. Is it a Glencairn? No. Oh! Woohoo!
Lovely leather.
It's not full.
It is empty. Well, you know,
God damn it.
we'll fill it. We'll fill it.
All right.
But lovely little leather flask with the Homosassa Distillery label.
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope you find some use for it.
I've got Kirsten out there somewhere, so
Yeah, we are here in front of a live studio audience.
yes, we've got a live studio audience. Kirsten and 2 cats.
So if you hear applause,
It's the cats.
be surprised. Um, yeah, so that's really my something interesting. I do plan on doing Dry January 2026, so get ready, Brad.
No, but so the last time we did that, he brought the most god awful alcohol free wine. It was disgusting. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was. It was bad. Like, I think I drank some of it, but not after the episode. I drank it just to get through the episode.
But what I think, hear me out. I think I meant to mention this to you before. when we record the next episode, you simply take that date and sub it with a date in the future. So, like March 2nd will become January 2nd.
Hey, that's a great
And
strategy.
so that way you don't drink on March 2nd and you can drink on January 2nd.
Well, I was thinking if you wanted, like, you could bring something to taste, and then like I
Okay.
could have like the dry option of the episode. And like if you want to taste it, that's fine. It may not be wine this time because that didn't go over so well, but we'll see how it goes.
Saying it didn't I'm not even going to make an analogy. It
All
was horrible.
right. All right. You still owe me for that bottle, by the way.
What?
The backup bottle you ran down and got.
I bought dinner the last 2 times.
That's fair. All right, we'll call it even. All right, Brad, what's interesting in your life?
That bottle cost less than the meals.
You probably gave me that bottle anyway.
Oh, it's possible.
All right, go for it, Brad. What's up?
What am I doing?
What's interesting in your life?
Kirsten's interesting.
Yes, she is.
She's
I agree.
shaking her head.
I agree.
We're going on a cruise in a week.
Woohoo!
I get to meet her parents.
Wow.
I get to meet her brother. I almost said her brother-in-law. No, her brother and her sister-in-law.
I gotta take some clothes off here.
Am I meeting anyone else? She's talking low. She doesn't want to be heard.
She's in stealth mode.
Yeah. No, that's it. I've already met her daughter. Known Olivia for 16 years.
Don't give everybody's names out.
All
Not
right.
everybody wants that.
Olivia.
We gotta get an applause light.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
You put the light on and I'll clap.
Style.
What else is going on? She's going to be meeting my mother and my cousin, her husband, and their son.
That wonderful
And
holiday.
I'm going to
tradition.
assume my mother's boyfriend will probably be there as well. He usually is, unless there's something pressing happening. So, yeah,
that's fun times.
I think I think Kirsten's the only decent new thing that's in my life. She likes kissing a lot.
Brad. Yeah, you're probably gonna learn about some new nuances of relationships here in the near future, I'm guessing. So yeah. All right. Well, Brad, you invented the what I'm reading. I'm actually reading a really, really good book. There's an author called Adrian Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
Who came up in my Kindle Unlimited, and there's a book called Children of Time. And it starts out and like a planet has been terraformed a long way from Earth, and basically they're trying to like create advanced life from monkeys, and things go a little sideways. It's actually really cerebral sci-fi. Usually I read very trashy sci-fi, but this one you kind of have to think about, and it prompts a lot of interesting discussions internally with myself. So yeah, highly recommend it. Adrian Tchaikovsky, Children of Time.
That's interesting.
What are you reading, Brad?
I am reading a book bought for me by someone special, and I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. What is it? The Country of the Blind.
Okay.
So it's like an alternate kind of history, a time travel kind of a thing. I just started reading it.
I like those kind of books, the alternate history. So I realized I got things out of order. We usually start with the drink, and I've just ruined everything.
Yeah, you did.
So in line with the gift that I got you is this bourbon I picked up from Homosassa Distillery, which is in Homosassa, Florida. Really cool little place. It's just a little warehouse from the outside, but they got a nice little patio outside. Their tasting room and bar inside is incredible. Like, it is just gorgeously decorated, very old Florida style, cypress boards everywhere. But they've obviously had some really cool artists come in and do the woodwork and things. The place is veteran owned, and the guys who own it work it. The guy who, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who does the tours, he's their distiller. He does an incredible job, just incredible. He let us try different things that were in progress and being worked on. And so this is their bald cypress bourbon whiskey. And if you're not from Florida, bald cypress is the big cypress trees we have in most of our swamps. Um, it has corn, rye, and malted barley. And if I recall correctly, they said this is a high rye bourbon. But it is distilled right here in Florida. And here you go, Brad. Let's
Okay.
see what you think.
Definitely get that corn.
Yeah, it's definitely got that corn, and you can feel the rye on your nose when you smell it.
Yeah, it's the corn comes in first, and then the
Mhm.
rye.
It's got a bit more bite than I recall. I remember, of course, I had tried it as part of a tasting at the place, so it wasn't just by itself. So I'm gonna flatten this bag here, Brad, because Jamie's table needs to be protected. So
It's not bad. Um,
it smooths out after the initial bite.
you get that the vanilla doesn't come out in the initial sip. It comes out on the second one on the end, and then you still have a little bit of that heat going on. The corn is very prevalent
Yeah,
in this.
but I like this. I think this is a good everyday drinking whiskey, and it really wasn't that pricey. The place actually makes a lot of different things. They have a very good gin that I'll probably bring in for another episode. They have a whole line of what am my brain just stopped working. Moonshines,
Okay.
flavored moonshines. That I have one of those, and it's pretty good. But like I said, it's a neat Florida location, and I like helping Florida-owned local places. So highly recommended if you're ever in the Crystal River, Homosassa area.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah, it's not bad.
all right. The next one I picked up when I was in Kansas City not long ago. This was recommended by a guy at one of the bars that forget the name of the district, and I'm going to kick myself. But there's a lovely historic district that's mostly shopping in Kansas City. There's a Cooper's Hawk there,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
in kind of the south part of the city, and that Cooper's Hawk has a really neat layout because it's in an old historic building they had to repurpose for the restaurant. But right down the street from there is this little gift shop slash bar that has all local beers, wines, and liquor. Like nothing that's not local.
Hmm.
And they recommended Union Horse Distilling Company Reserve Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I was a little bummed I didn't get to visit any distilleries while I was there, but I did pick up this small bottle because I tried it and thought it was delightful. So I'll pour us a
That
little of
is
that.
a
Yeah,
Daniel trademarked word. Delightful.
delightful. Let's see what you think of this one, Brad.
So I'm going to read off a little bit about this distillery.
Yeah, I did
So
no
it's
prep work on this.
established in 2010. The Union Horse Distilling Company is a family-owned and operated award-winning distillery in Kansas City. So Midwest born from the finest ingredients, our unified drive and dedication is what inspires us to pioneer and create our unique collection of authentic artisanal offerings. So about this particular, whoops, let's go back in there. Okay, so the Reserve Straight Bourbon Whiskey, it's distilled from a sour mash recipe of corn and rye. Um, so handcrafted in the copper pot, still using only traditional methods. They do it in small batches. So it's a 46% ABV, 92 proof. It says there's the notes of maple, nougat, vanilla, and smoke. I'm not getting much off the nose yet.
It's pretty soft on the nose, where the other one
I
had a
get
really
the
strong
but the
bite.
nougat definitely comes out there.
Yeah,
This is aged 5 to 7 years and non-chill filtered.
yeah. Like I said, this one comes across on all levels as much smoother than the Homosassa distilling. It's a very smooth drink. You definitely get the nougat, the vanilla on the
Yeah,
nose, and
yeah.
it's
This is definitely much smoother. Um,
Yeah, I feel like this could get dangerous because it's so smooth and soft on the palate. I feel like I could drink a lot of this, and we have a
we have
guest
a
cat
yeah.
yeah, we're recording outside of our new normal room where we close the door. So for those of you watching, you can see one of my cats. This is Penny. So anyway,
Penny likes the attention.
yeah, Penny loves to be on camera. All right, Brad, what are we doing next? What's next? Are we gonna do the Reddit thing?
Yeah, I do. I actually have
All right,
what's happening on Reddit.
let's go.
So I was looking earlier today, and so this is an interesting one. Of course, it's am I the asshole?
Yes.
Yeah. So am I the asshole for telling my wife that's why you should get a job after she told me people shop a lot more than she does? So here's the situation. So my wife and I are in our late 30s. We've been married for 13 years, and she's been a stay-at-home mom that whole time, other than doing a short Grubhub gig for a few months. She made the decision of being a stay-at-home mom because she quote unquote wanted to spend time with the kids and not miss anything. Even though when dating she said she'd wanted to work, and I expressed wanting to be a dual income household. One child is mine biologically, the eldest is not. They are 14 and 11. Yesterday, my wife went to the mall shopping. When she came back, she said, "You should have seen all those people with a lot of bags spending $800 plus, and here I was spending only $100. I felt poor." I told her, "Well, if you feel poor, then maybe it's time for you to get a job." She went silent and walked away. For reference, I make $130,000 at my job after taxes, and we live in a city with modest expenses. I give her $1,000 a month in quote unquote fun money, and she feels it's not enough anymore. We have a separate fund for gifts. The fun money is purely fun. This trip to the mall was just shopping for herself. I could increase her allowance, but I think it's reasonable. Uh, so I just throw the extra into investing. I think he meant I think it's unreasonable. So I just throw the extra into investing. And she's always saying how we should invest less and spend more. But I disagree. She always shows me her friends on vacation and their wives shopping, or what new car their husbands bought them, etc. And I always say the same thing because most of those wives work jobs too, and she doesn't. So I feel it's not an apples to apples comparison.
So I don't think the sentiment is wrong, but yes, you are an asshole because a lot of being in a relationship is exercising tact and
Yeah,
good judgment in your word choice. And there are lots of ways you could have said that would not have necessarily produced that same result. But I did hear a lot of red flags all through that story.
right.
It doesn't sound like they've talked a lot about finances in general.
No,
They probably have a very different picture, and consumerism, man, it's a nightmare. Like you want one thing, and then they convince you to want five more, and
they live,
then you see other people. Yeah, man, it'll
consume.
yeah. So, Brad, your thoughts?
Yeah, he could have definitely been a lot more tactful about that. While I don't disagree with what he's saying, um, I think it's been going on for so long that he's kind of fed into it. And I think that what he needs to do is just basically, sit down and go, look, these are our expenses. What are our goals long term? Because if she if she wants to spend more now and invest less, then what is their life going to look like 20 years from now?
Right. You don't want to be living in a van down by the river.
Right, right.
You know.
So, I mean, if he kind of puts it out to her, whereas she could work, if she works 2 days a week and she gets extra spending money, then that's not going to impact their life 20 years down the line. Whereas if they spend more, then what's going to end up happening down the line, she's going to have to get a job that's more than 2 days a week just to support both of them.
Yeah, and it sounds like I always talk about how relationships and marriages especially are an agreement. Hopefully it's spoken, but sometimes it's unspoken, and that's generally where disaster strikes. But it's an agreement, and it sounds like they haven't come to an agreement. It's one thing if everybody agrees, hey, you're not going to work, I'm going to work, and this is the way it's going to be, and we're accepting that you won't have the $800 shopping spree at Neiman Marcus. You'll go and spend $200 at Sam's or whatever. Um, as long as you have that agreement and everybody continues to be okay with that agreement, it tends to be okay. But it's when you don't have that conversation and you've got one person thinking the agreement is one thing and another thinking it's another, that's when you get into this kind of situation.
Yeah. Kirsten told me initially that we're in agreement that she's right, and I just need to deal with it.
I'm in agreement with that as well. So good relationship between the three of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things I do, I tell my daughter all the time, if you decide to go off and get married and just be a stay-at-home mom, I think that is a noble choice. Like, it is a difficult choice, and it's one it's very difficult to choose financially and just personally in life.
It's taxing.
Yeah, but it is harder in a lot of ways than actually going to a job. But I always tell her, when you put yourself in a situation where you are financially dependent on actually really dependent on someone else in any way, um, you're making some sacrifices, and in this case, it sounds like her sacrifice is that extra $600 at the mall.
Right.
I've told my daughter, hey, if you choose to make that, just remember you've chosen it, and there will be consequences. Maybe they won't be bad, but you lay in the bed you make.
I understand that there are consequences for me constantly talking about someone on this podcast.
Yeah, you might want to tone that down, bud.
Probably going to get beat later.
I just assumed you were trying for a tie-in to Addicted to Love.
What?
Anyway, sorry. Transitioning into the topic.
The lights are on,
but you're not
no
home.
one's home.
All right. Our topic is a little serious. We do a lot of fun topics, but this one I think is a good one.
Yes.
It's good to talk about, especially at this time of year when people are stressed and often succumb to their weaknesses. So we're talking about addiction. Brad, good call on this topic. I think it's worth talking about. I would be shocked if anyone in the world hasn't encountered somebody with an addiction of one type or another, whether it was admitted or not. But yeah, good topic. Like, it's, I don't know, to some capacity, we've all got our little addictions. Sometimes it's just playing Candy Crush or whatever. Some addictions are worse than others. But yeah, we're going to talk about our common addictions and see what we can come up with.
Sounds good.
You want to lead, or you want me to lead?
Sure, no, I'll get lead. So now this is difficult. Do you first talk about the warning signs, or talk about what leads to addiction?
So I started with just kind of like, I was curious what the most common addictions are. I
didn't even think about that.
I was like, well, which ones do I want to talk about? Because you could go a lot of different directions.
Right.
And I asked Copilot what the most common addictions were. And in order, this is what it said, 1 through 10. 1, alcohol, as we have a little whiskey. 2 is nicotine, which kind of goes hand in hand with alcohol in a lot of cases. 3, marijuana, which driving around Florida does not surprise me at all. 4, sadly, opioid.
Okay.
5, cocaine, which I'm never really big in that scene, but I guess I always think of cocaine more as like a 70s and 80s thing, but I guess it's still a big problem. And then they kind of break down prescription stimulants like Adderall and Ritalin, benzodiazepines, so your Xanax, your Valium, and stuff like that. Meth, obviously a big problem. Number 9 is gambling, and number 10 is food addiction and binge eating disorder. So I thought that was an interesting list, and I don't know if that's completely accurate, but usually these AI engines are pretty good at correlations like this. So I'm guessing it's pretty close. So anyway, that was my thought on the approach. But I was just going to dive into a handful and see where we go. But Brad, I'll let you lead.
The first thing I kind of looked at, though, with me, my first question was, how much of a business is addiction?
Ah, that's an interesting approach.
So it's, you're talking about healthcare treatment market, which it's a $20 billion business.
Yeah.
Um, but it impacts all sides because you're looking at the the one side of how much is are those treatment centers making, and then versus how much are these companies losing because of their employees or owners that have their addictions, whether it's gambling addiction, narcotics, or whatnot.
So you're saying the industry is feeding the addictions, or are you saying the industry is treating the addictions? I guess it's kind of both.
It's both.
I mean,
It's
it
both.
kind of goes back to what we were talking about with consumerism.
Well, if you take a look at like if you take a look at like the prison system, um, this is not a public prison system; it's a private prison system. And to be fair, they are not actively trying to rehabilitate the majority of the criminals in the prison.
Yeah.
Um, if they actually did, there wouldn't be as much, and correct my verbiage, recidivism.
Recidivism. Yeah.
Yeah, back into the community there.
Yeah. So this is a pretty common American thing. Like even when we're treating a lot of these conditions, in my research, I found a lot of medications. Just pop a pill in you. Don't actually address the underlying problem that makes you feel like you need alcohol or need meth or whatever it is. Just pop a pill in you. You know, oh well, this will make you sick if you drink alcohol, but that doesn't really solve the problem. So yeah, I can see that. And I do think, the first thing on my list obviously was alcohol, because we talk about alcohol on this show.
I
And
don't have a problem.
it's a really dangerous thing to be addicted to. I actually have a very dear friend who, after her own battles with drug and alcohol addiction, finally reconnected with her father. And he sadly had he was a heavy alcoholic, had a ulcer rupture, and
Wow.
she walked in and found him bleeding on the floor.
Oh my god.
And that's the thing is, you can't stop just because you have an ulcer when you have an addiction to alcohol. And I have another good friend who we lost touch for years because he was um, physically addicted to alcohol, and I just couldn't be around it. And he will say, he's like, yeah, like you may drink a lot, you think, but for you to do dry January, you just stop drinking. He's like, if I start drinking, I cannot stop. He's like, I cannot stop myself. It just steamrolls.
We I'm not gonna get um, super graphic, um, because it can go there. But long some years back, when I lived in Jacksonville, they ended up finding the body of a woman in her home, and there in the garage there were countless empty bottles of vodka in there, and no one knew. I should probably been in there a week or two.
Wow. But again, it's really hard. Alcohol is probably one of our uh, the world's oldest vices. We've been making alcohol since prehistoric times, and at times it's been revered. I mean, the church, gives you wine as a sacrament, and obviously Americans at one point decided it was bad enough that for 13 years we decided to outlaw it,
Yeah.
and that really speaks to how dangerous it can be. And I don't know all the reality of what brought on that decision, but it really it's a dangerous thing if you can't control it. And I don't know that everybody has those days when you let it get away from you, but I don't think that's when it's technically addiction. I think addiction goes beyond the night got away from me and I had a little bit too much to drink. So,
Well, let's then go into that. The warning signs
okay.
of addiction, um, loss of control, ignoring harmful effects of, in this case, drug abuse. But I think that can go to to anything, um, like preoccupation with using, physical, behavioral, and psychological changes, increased tolerance of whether it's drugs or alcohol, and withdrawal symptoms. Because if someone is constantly using, or let's put it this way: if they're abusing drugs, if they've got addictions in other facets of their life, then many times that they might seem to be a bit preoccupied
Yeah.
because it's always on their mind.
What I thought was interesting is as I started looking at warning signs for addictions across the board, they're all kind of the same. You have um, performance issues if you're seeing them at work or doing things. The guy who makes cabinets might mess up a cabinet more often. You might see more waste. The guy who's usually a stellar performer might be, mailing it in all of a sudden. What's going on there? You have people who withdraw. Sometimes people that are really social and out all the time suddenly stop hanging out. They disappear. They go into their little cave and they just sit there and drink themselves or smoke themselves to death or whatever it is. Um, Mood swings. You talk about secrecy.
Right.
Hiding stuff. If somebody starts being weird in your life, don't assume addiction. I don't think that's
Because I am weird.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Brad's weird all the time.
Yeah.
But me too. But if somebody starts behaving outside the norm, sometimes all they need is somebody to just say, like, "Hey, man, you okay?" Like, and yeah, you might be getting more than you ask for if you ask that question. So don't ask if you don't want the answer. But sometimes that's actually what they're looking for, and they'd much rather somebody have be a shoulder to cry on than actually take that next drink or hit that pipe or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a good approach is looking at those recognizing things. And everything I found was like no matter what it is, if you recognize it early and speak up, it's a risk, because some people will just tell you to shut the fuck up and will cut you out.
So
But
I remember, and this is a few years ago, and I am not in touch with this person anymore. But my heart goes out to those who are really in need, and this is someone that used to work at Pattaya Thai.
okay,
And so I knew that he was a single father. I knew that he had, excuse me, drug issues in the past. And I remember one day that he, asked me for money. I'm going to pay you back double or whatever it was. And I'm like, listen, dude, no, I don't need that. Just pay me back and that's fine. And then I sent him the money, and then it was a few minutes later. Oh, I actually need this more, need this more, and it just becomes so much.
yeah, needing money one time is one thing, but when you see these repeating things, there's something else going on. And again, like I said, it may not be addiction. It may be that whatever job they're stuck at doesn't pay them enough to pay their bills. That's a very real thing going on right now. But you know, again, ask the question. Just say, "Hey, man, are you what's going on? Like, what's happening here?" Because sometimes somebody just genuinely has an emergency that comes out of the blue and they don't
Yeah.
know how to handle it.
But you typically, if that happens, you're going to be contacting a good friend.
Right.
This one I hadn't talked to in several years.
Yeah, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen situations.
And it's not
like
the first time that's happened. I mean, I remember I had someone else that the same thing happened, and I helped her out, and then kept asking me, and I had to block her because
Yep.
there's only so far that I'm going to go. You don't make me feel bad.
Right. One thing I've noticed is, in reading about all these addictions, the underlying theme seemed to be that a lot of the causes, yes, you can have a quote unquote addictive personality. And I guess there are some people who are more prone to reacting to chemicals differently. But, you know, a lot of people do drugs and alcohol and gamble or whatever because they've got something else going on mental health wise. And that it's a big red flag for something else if somebody's falling into addiction um, most of the time. And sadly, if I go to the doctor, it's going to cost me, if I have insurance, $50.
Yeah.
And then if I get medication, it's going to charge me between, depending on my insurance and whether I have it, between and what the medicine is, $10 to $200 a month. If I can go get drugs from the guy down the street, or go get a 12 pack of Natty Light for $8.99, that seems in that moment like a lot easier way to deal with whatever's going on in my head. Just drown it.
Well, I think that many times we have those addictions because we're compensating for something else that we don't have in our life. And I've told a few people this. I haven't told Kirsten this before, but what happened with me is that, like, I like to gamble, and it's fun for me. It's that adrenaline. But when I was on the cruise ship with my mother, you know, and I'm over there, and I'm realizing that I'm overcompensating for something else that I don't have in my life. And that's when I messaged Kirsten and asked her out, immediately going off, getting off the ship, because I knew that she would be good for me. And she's just an amazing human being. um, but I mean, really, I mean, it's one of those things where that I would rather spend time with her than anything else. Well, almost anything else.
I know spending time with me is
I
better.
know. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think that usually any addiction at least begins with something else. But the challenge is, a lot of the time we're using one addiction, and people will trade addictions. I had a very good friend who, she's been, gosh,
Wait, are you saying that she's my addiction?
she might be, she might be,
Okay. Well, maybe.
addicted to love. It's a thing. They wrote a song about it and everything.
We talked with
Yeah.
that, or
Right?
lights are on, no one's home.
Yeah. But no, like I have a friend who's been clean 20 years now, and she truly hit rock bottom with narcotics and alcohol, to the point where she had court ordered rehab and came to live with me for a while. I'm
I didn't know this.
I'm super proud of her. She's like, I don't want to mention her name because it's not my place to do, but she's a really good friend, and she would get off of the hard drugs and just be smoking pot and drinking beer all the time. And then she'd get back on the hard drugs, and she'd get off of everything and just be smoking pot all the time. But like, she kind of cycled through her addictions, and even once she got into uh, Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, well, you've never seen somebody cigarettes smoked, so she switched to nicotine as an addiction. Now we can talk about the severity of addictions and whether one is any better than the other, but this is the challenge. Is luckily she's done some work, and been able to address some of the underlying issues as part of this whole journey that she's been on for all these years. But you still have to address the issue, like, because you have to make sure that you're not just trading one thing for another. So
Yeah. But I mean,
getting real serious over
in,
here.
in terms of drugs versus, you know, nicotine, I mean, you're talking about one shorter term versus one longer term.
Right. And my friend I mentioned earlier, I fell out of touch with, he says, like, look, man, AA is not about quitting everything. It's just about quitting alcohol. And that's a really good approach to it. Just going back to, strategies with when it comes to alcohol. I didn't realize how many options there are. Obviously, if you get to a certain severity, you actually need to detox, just like you would if you were addicted to heroin. Like, I didn't realize that.
Is
But
it as bad though?
It's very bad and very dangerous. Like you can die from quitting out. Like if you're, but these are the people who wake up in the morning and start hitting the bottle.
Right.
Like,
I wait until at least noon.
but the problem is people like when you hit that point, you know that's not healthy and you know you shouldn't do it,
Hmm.
but your body is just telling you need it. And then you start torturing yourself because you don't feel like you have control and it just snowballs. But there are inpatient and outpatient programs. There are actually medications that help reduce the cravings. If
Okay.
you have a doctor, go see a doctor. They can prescribe a plan for you. And AA is not for everybody. It has this whole higher power thing. It's a very structured program, and it doesn't work for everybody. But there are other recovery groups out there. Everybody's got a smartphone. Google it if you need it. Like I didn't realize how many resources are out there. There's a mental health helpline. 1-800-662-HELP is free, 100% free referral service. They'll put you in touch with somebody to help you find something. Findtreatment.gov, and this is not just for alcohol. This is actually for lots of things. And then again, if you want to give AA a try, it's a good program when it works. It's a really good supportive program, and I can't speak highly enough about it for those it helps. But go to AA.org and find a meeting. That's a good way to start.
Now, something interesting that I saw is that in regards to leading causes of addiction,
Okay.
the genetics, that's about 40 to 60% right there.
Hmm.
And I think that helps to know that, because if you have a parent or close family member who is an addict, I think if you're self-aware about that, you're more likely able to help yourself.
Yeah.
And
So my great grandparents on my mother's side, and actually my mom's mother's side, drank a lot. They were highly functional. None of them hit that rock bottom point that I know of. But I know there was a lot of alcoholism. I remember I lived next door to my grandparents, and recycle day, it was just shattering glass because of all the beer bottles.
wow.
Now I don't know that I ever saw them drunk, but I know they drank a lot, and that and some of the stories about my great grandfather, made me hyper aware. So when I was going through the worst of my divorce, I called my parents and said, "Hey, I need you to come get all the alcohol out of my house because I am in a bad place right now mentally, and I don't need to be around it." And then, every once in a while, I'll just kind of hit reset and go, "Hey, man, I gotta stop doing this." Like this, the dry January thing is actually a really good thing to remind myself, like, "Hey, you know, you don't need this. You might enjoy a whiskey, you might enjoy the wine, but you don't need it." And remember, it feels fine. You are fine without it. And I think that's the beauty of that trend is if you do it right, it gives yourself space to go, "Oh man, I'm having a really hard time doing this. Maybe I am drinking too much. Maybe I
Right.
do have an addiction." Things like that. So anyway.
A few things in regards to contributing factors as well. Obviously the environment. If there's a lot of things going on in your life, a chaotic home environment, um, parental or peer attitudes towards drugs and alcohol, your economic status, all of those are going to contribute to predilection towards addiction. The Also, apparently, there's a strong link between addiction and other mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, PTSD, and ADHD. Um, I think that people might try it and find out they like themselves a little bit better or feel a little bit normal, whatever that is, when they try it, and then it just spirals from there.
Well, I mean, truth is, if I drink this entire bottle of whiskey here for the rest of the night, I'm not going to worry about whatever's been bothering me. I may have other problems that come from that, but I'm not going
Yeah.
to worry about that. And that's the problem is if you turn on a TV and all you see are alcohol ads, Alcohol seems like a great answer. Look at all these people having great time. Like, I don't want to be sitting here on my couch crying because of whatever's on my mind.
Right.
I want to go have a great time. So let me go get a bottle of Cointreau and have any tequila, and that is a commercial right now. And drink the night away, party the night away. And for some, that's fine. But if that becomes a habit, those underlying mental health issues really become problematic because you're not solving anything. You're just killing the pain.
So apparently, also then a few different things. Repeated use of those addictive substances causes changes in the brain's reward circuit, so flooding it with dopamine. So it reinforces the behavior. It makes the brain learn to seek the substance at the expense of healthier goals and activities. So, which is why addiction is often referred to as a chronic brain disease.
Hmm?
And then one really bad thing is, no, one really bad thing is, the amount of kids trying it. So, and especially when their brain is developing, that's going to cause massive problems to them at later stages in their life.
Yeah, I mean, and the challenge is, if you come home every afternoon from school and mommy's down in a bottle of wine, that's normal. That is normalized in your brain. And I'm no saint. I drank in front of my kid, and I worry sometimes. Now, luckily, she doesn't seem to have picked up on that
She
particular
doesn't
habit.
care
No,
about
she
it.
she could take it or leave
Yeah.
it, and I'm grateful for that. But it's a risk, and when you add up all these other things that can be going on, it can become a real problem.
So fun little fact. Uh, when I was probably 11, so I was that kid that always would go through my parents' closets,
Okay.
and I remember seeing a box up on top in the closet, and I smelled it and I went, "Ooh!" And then I remember um, saying, "Dad saying it's my tobacco," and it wasn't until after my dad passed away that I really found out, because I was a kid and I didn't think of anything of it, that apparently, yeah, my dad smoked quite a. You wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known,
Well,
but because it didn't affect his life.
yeah, I mean, and again, that it comes back to like addiction versus I just like doing it.
Yeah.
I do think there's a difference, and it's different for every person. The biggest thing is just be aware. Be aware of yourself, be aware of the people you love, and keep an eye on them. What was interesting, you mentioned the dopamine thing, and they've actually done studies, and this is why I brought up Candy Crush earlier. They've actually done studies on all these little games that give you these little rewards. I mean, you can't walk down the street without people, jumping in front of cars playing a game on their phone. And it's because these games actually are feeding that dopamine response. They're just not. I mean, it's not like doing a hit of cocaine, but it's slow little bumps every 10 seconds, and it hits that reward center. And so we're building addiction in ourselves when we start playing them. So,
All right.
um, what else you got, Brad?
I don't have anything else.
Well, I do want to go through a couple things and just
Talk
talk
to me.
about some resources. Like, when with nicotine, nicotine is a weird one because it does seem like, while we know the risks, we know probably more about nicotine long-term and short-term risks than I would venture to guess any other addictive substance out there. But, you know, it's still very prevalent worldwide, and it has some pretty fierce issues that it creates. But there are actually a lot of uh, solutions for it. There are government programs, government hotlines at federal and state levels. Um, there's, you have the patches and the gum and all the things that like just give you nicotine that's not smoking, but nicotine is still addictive in itself. So yes, you reduce the risk of cancers maybe, but the nicotine is still problematic. But there you can take medications for it. They actually have medications to help you reduce those cravings and the withdrawal from nicotine.
Yeah.
Um, you know, get some counseling. Honestly, counseling for most addictions is actually counseling for most anything is probably a good advice. But be honest with your counselor and say, yeah, like, hey, I smoke a pack a day, and a pack costs. God, I bet a pack costs $8 now. If I had to guess, I don't know.
Probably, at least.
Yeah, if you're smoking
Um,
$8 a day, what could you do with $8 a
yeah.
day?
But on another note too is I just have to express my distaste over those people that don't look at the science and go, but what about this person who lived to be 105 years old and he smoked every day? Or look at this person that they got lung cancer and they never smoked.
Yeah,
There's always going to be outliers.
yeah. Outliers are really an odd thing that people love to latch on to. There's always going to be that story of the person who did meth all the time, but they lived forever, right? Um, but I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we can agree that talking about nicotine, like it's not a good habit. If nothing else, it's very costly.
Right.
And now, like there's so many. It's good because it gets people away from smoking, but there's so many other ways to take nicotine now. Like there are little pouches you can put in your mouth that are just the nicotine salts. Yeah, I don't have to smell it. I love that,
Right.
but it also looks like a pack of certs that you could get breath mints, and so you got teenagers walking around doing it, and I don't know that that's good. If you are addicted to nicotine, there's a national line that you can call for free counseling and special kits. I don't know what's in them, but 1-800-QUIT-NOW is a good number to call. You can also go to smokefree.gov, or there's a text. You can text QUIT to 47848 that has resources for helping people at all levels, women, teens, veterans, whatever your cause for smoking or being addicted to nicotine. There are tons of resources, and in Florida, tobaccofreeflorida.com is a government-run
You just
thing.
reminded me of back when I managed a jewelry store over in the West Palm Beach area. The candy store they had not nicotine gum but caffeine gum.
Oh yeah, that's actually a thing at the gas station
That
now.
was disgusting. Yeah, really disgusting. Not good at all. 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
I feel like we kind of talked alcohol until we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
Um, going on to gambling. We talked a little bit about the gambling's an addiction for a lot of reasons. And a lot of people think it's a great way to make money. And I've
Oh, it's a horrible way to make money.
it's honestly, it's probably lower percentages of people who make money on gambling than make the NBA.
It's a lot of the people that like the influencers that you see on YouTube or Facebook or whatnot. They're they're great personalities and they're making the money from the hits to their channels more so than the
And
money they're making
they're
in the
probably
slots.
being funded by the casinos.
Not some are and some are not. But when you get to that level, then
Yeah.
they're not necessarily going to be funded by the casinos, but they're going to get some perks.
Yeah.
But they're also still spending a lot of their money over there.
I had a good friend of mine, and we'd go to the casino, and I'd watch him, walk in with $2,000 and walk out with 20. But I've also watched him walk in with 50,000 and walk out with nothing. So it's not a path to make money. It can be fun, but it's just like a drug. And again, the strategies to get out of it are, figuring out what's driving your desire to do it. Like you said, um, help identify those triggers that make you want to go and reshape those patterns that say, oh, you know what? I don't need to gamble. I can go on a date, go have some wine, do something else. But also, like with gambling, one of the nice things, and I've seen it in every casino I've ever been to, they have like, you can opt out. You can basically say, oh shit, I have a problem. Now, I don't think it's something you can reverse once you've done it, but you can say, I have a problem, and you can tell the casino, I I can't do this anymore. And I have seen people, they will send security to the table and walk you out the door.
Wow.
It is a thing. It's a really good thing. Just like with alcohol, there's a Gamblers Anonymous, gamblersanonymous.org. If you feel like you have a problem, um, might be worth checking out. I haven't visited this website, but I'm guessing they have something that can tell you, oh, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
And then there's a helpline, a national helpline, and I don't know who runs it or anything like that, but 1-800-522-4700. I guess they didn't opt for the fancy quit quit gambling or whatever
I
.com or
I
something.
think Kirsten told Penny that I'm okay.
Yeah, she's sitting in your lap
Yes.
now. So, I guess that's it for gambling. One that I think is weird that's come up a lot in my mind because it's so prevalent is marijuana. You have this weird disconnect. Like you have the federal government, which technically still says it's illegal. I think it's still Schedule 1 or Schedule A or
I
whatever it
think
is.
so.
But
Federally, not
but then
state.
you have states that are across the board. You have states where it's completely illegal, I think. You have medical states, you have recreational states, and I mean, it's so prevalent. The the bar that I play pool at, I mean, the guys are smoking it they have like little pens. They're not like lighting up a joint, but they have like
Right.
little pens and they're like basically vaping marijuana in the bar, and no one says anything. It's a really weird thing. And I think a lot of people see it as nothing. They see it as no different than smoking a cigarette. But I don't feel like it builds the physical dependency as much as some other drugs, but I do think it's addictive. I do think there's an element of
Right.
true addiction there. Probably more psychological than physical, I guess.
I think people just need to be very introspective in their lives, and just take a look at what do they want, what do they need out of their life, and stop trying to fill those holes with other things. That's not going to make them happy ultimately.
Yeah, and the problem is like that takes time and it's scary. I actually talked to my sister a lot about this. Like, I want to talk about philosophy and politics and religion and all this stuff with my sister because I know she's capable and I know she's smart. But she tells me, she's like, "Look, Daniel, I got two kids who are young. They take up a lot of my time. I'm working full time. That takes up a lot of my time. I have all these other obligations, and like I just don't have time to really invest in this. And I don't know if she has any addictions or not. I don't think she does. But that's what happens. Is I think people it feels easier in that moment to go get drunk or to get high than to actually sit down and take some time to do something that's very scary.
So on an end note, I think that's a great point. That you you got to take a look at what's going on in your life. Is what you're doing going to harm you down the road, or is it going to improve your life down the road?
Yeah, and I do want to be clear. We're not saying beat yourself up. I am the king of doing that too much. I self-examine all the time, and there have been times in my life where I did it to the point of self-abuse, where I was really hard on myself for all of my shortcomings, and that's not what we're suggesting. We're simply saying like make the time to think and say, hey, maybe I should just examine this just a little bit, and then if I need to, set it aside, but come back tomorrow. Make sure I come back tomorrow. Make sure I come back the next day, and just do a little bit at a time. Don't beat yourself up. We all have our vices, and even the best of us, you know, well, arguably the best of us, but at least highly successful people like Elon Musk have rumors that they are using ketamine on a regular basis. So,
And I'm apparently addicted to cat hair.
we all have these things. So don't beat yourself up because you might have a flaw. We all have flaws.
Yeah.
But do the work. Try to see why you're doing what you're doing. And you might find the answer is, you know what, I just like the taste of whiskey and I like to have a glass every night. And if that's the answer, fine. But at least ask yourself the question.
Yeah.
So
So
go ahead.
that being said, what's on topic for the next episode?
On topic for the next episode is uh, party of 10. If you could throw a party for any 10 people, we're only going with real people from history or alive or dead, doesn't have to be currently alive, who would you invite? Why would you invite each one of them? And what would the vibe be like at your party? Like, are you throwing a game night party? Are you like turning on the disco balls and
I'm
like going
planning
nuts?
everything out.
You're gonna have a DJ?
We're talking food.
You're gonna have a jazz band?
Yeah.
What are you serving? Yeah, that's a good question. What are
Yeah.
you serving?
Yeah.
Like can't invite Brad if you're gonna have meatballs and bacon.
You can invite me, just have more than that.
No, I'm not inviting you. You're not on the list.
Tofurkey.
Sorry, you're not on the list.
Well, then you're not on my list.
No, but I think we can have some fun with that. Lighten it up a little bit after today. I do want to just
is Jamie going to be on your list?
Don't put me in that place, Brad. Don't put me in that place. She doesn't listen to this podcast, so sure. Yeah, she'll be on.
Yeah.
But no, I do want to go back and touch on the addiction thing just in closing and just reiterate some things we said. That be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of those in your life who you care about and have the courage to speak up. Be gentle about it. Don't abuse them. Don't yell at them. Don't attack them. If they push you back, say, hey, I just wanted to ask the question. Let it go. But keep asking if you see it getting worse. And if you do feel like you need help, there's a SAMHSA, something mental health something. National helpline is 1-800-662-HELP. Please reach out, see if you can get resources for whatever you might be battling. There's also findtreatment.gov, which is a website with some resources. And then in your community, you probably have local community health centers that you can Google. And if you feel like you've got a problem, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. And don't let the bullshit excuses be your reason for not getting help. So I felt weird.
That's okay.
I needed to say.
That's okay. All right, moving forward.
I think that's it, Brad.
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. So we are on Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are on YouTube as Wine, Whiskey, and Words.
Yeah.
Our email is winewhiskeyandword@gmail.com.
That's correct.
And we are on most social media platforms, all the ones who are not run by
Elon Musk.
Lunatic Nazis. Sorry, Elon Musk, I meant to say. My autocorrect.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening through if you've made it this far on this rather deep, depressing topic.
Yeah.
But hey.
Fun topic.
Happy holidays.
Cheers.
Cheers.